Hi, folks. Do read the disclaimer. Today, we're going to talk about FIRE, so financial independence and retiring early. Whether you may like it or not, but there is a problem with this thesis, and I've actually never uh, really liked this thesis because it is oversimplifying a lot of complexity of real life. But still, numbers are created as if life runs in a Excel sheet and runs in a straight line. The popular promises are if you invest 10,000 a month for 30 years at 12,000 XIRR, you achieve 3 crores of corpus for financial independence, and you are done. But we anchor all this shiny numbers, whatever that number is for us, but you forget that inflation will erode value, markets will not move in straight lines, and there will be a lot of curveballs that will be thrown at you by different parts of the moving game. So the dream looks big, but the math can be very, very fragile. And these calculations and these calculators often ignore certain factors that are just not possible to be predetermined. Um, just like if you were to think that I've got X returns in the last 3 years, and hence every 3 years that's the return I'm going to get. It is the same fallacy as that what has happened in the past may or may not repeat in the future. And of course, there may be many genuine calculations also that make sense, but to highlight that most uh, of those calculations will not work for most of the people. And that's what this video is all about. So just watch to the end, and perhaps you will relate to many of the things that I'm going to talk about. There is nothing in this video that is rocket science. Everybody probably knows what I'm talking about, but it's just that when you think about that particular aspect of it, you probably will be able to appreciate it a bit more. So we are talking about the inflation monster, the longevity risk, the lifestyle creep, the issues with withdrawal rules, currency and geopolitical risks, the tax drag, the interest rate wildcard, and equity assumption trap, all that impacting the calculation that one does. So, of course, inflation, everybody knows, is the secret tax that the system takes from you. And 100 rupees kept idle in 1995 buys you goods worth 16 rupees today. So, it is chipping away silently at your money at about 6.25% annually. Again, the number that you may have calculated, let's say for a average person, if that is 3 crores in 30 years, it sounds big, but even at 5% inflation, it's worth only 75 lakhs today. And you know very well what that means in today's day and age in terms of maybe buying a house or having a running income of it, and so on and so forth. So inflation also is not uniform. It will depend upon the choice of goods and services that you will need for the rest of your life, whether it is in education, healthcare, lifestyle costs. And some of these items may run much faster than the headline CPI index that you see for inflation. Also, a lot of fire plans assume that future expenses are going to stay constant. So, most of these planners will say that what is your cost of running your house today, and then just excel it out, extrapolate it. It doesn't work like that. Markets also don't pay in straight lines. So the equity assumption trap here is that this 12% XRR that we've received over the last 30 years, that remains constant for the rest of my life. So 12% is what I'll get every year. But the returns are, not anything but a straight line return. Could be chunky, could be unpredictable, and maybe you may find there are maybe a decade or two where nothing of this happens. There are no returns. That is also possible. So like if we see the last 20 years also, there have been periods where long periods of consolidation has been there. So 2008 till 2014, almost 6 years of consolidation. 2015 to till 2020, again you were at the same level at different times. So when you are not working, when you are dependent upon withdrawing from your corpus, and your corpus doesn't move up for 6 years, and inflation is also eating you, it can get a you can get very, very anxious about it. And let's say we adjust Nifty to the average CPI, then it could have taken almost 15 years to recover from the 2008 high, for that matter. Only till after 2023, really, you made some gain on it post inflation. And if your inflation number was much higher than the CPI, which normally is, then virtually since 2008 nobody's really made any money, no real gains as such. So it can be very very challenging to go through that kind of a phase. This slide is from DSP Netra, so they have shown very effectively that the up cycles and down cycles are sort of uh, go hand in hand. And when you are in bull markets like the 13-year run that we had till 92, or 5 years till 2008, or 3.7 years till 2016, or this 4.5 years that we had till 2024, when you are taking part in that bull run, you can do all kind of calculations and excel sheeting, that in 4 years I'll be here, 8 years I'll be there, and 20 years I'll be there. But you can't forget these years, the years that are going to take the wind out of your sail. So that is a reality that is not going away anytime soon, and that's what even the Japanese folks found out after they had a 30-40 year run, that for the next 35 years they couldn't see a new high. So what happens if India gets a 40-year run? I don't know when it ends, but you know there is no returns for 20 years, 10 years, whatever it may be. So all that context is there, where you just can't be blindfolded into believing that what exists today can continue just like that. Chinese stock market is another example. I mean, China is growing still quite rapidly. China is a advanced innovator. China is doing a lot of things that India is still dreaming of doing, but yet they've had two decades of poor performance in terms of market returns, even as their GDP was booming. So, I mean, India curve is very very nice so far. We've had some 35 years of really good uh, gains, straight line. If you draw through the market movements, it feels like it is reasonably steady. But having lived through some of these, it really is not as easy. And especially when your no running income is coming in, and you're only uh, dependent on your fixed capital, these can be very very unnerving. So just basis optimism or patriotism or assumptions that India will continue to grow forever, or hope, I think that is being a bit naive. um, Also, long-term averages, they hide the pain of long dry spells. So in this chart, perhaps you can't see that there have been long spells of pain, but the chart doesn't say so. The interest rate wild card. So the cost of money changes everything. Interest rates drive everything from equity valuations to bond returns to property prices. And a falling rate cycle boosts equity multiples, and raising rate cycle destroys them. So we've had a 4 decade of interest rates getting cut from the 80s till now, globally I'm saying. And now that regime seems to be changing, so you really don't know where things will go in the next few decades. India yield, of course, has been range bound, so 5% to 8 or 9% has been the range for us. But then, when you compare it in dollar terms, we are slipping versus the US dollar also. So if dollar or a global benchmark of interest rate starts to go up, I mean, how long before India can survive that kind of a divergence from them without impacting the currency? So the cost of money will remain a moving target. It is not a constant. Every time you will see that cost of money is moving up, things will come down. Longevity risk is a big one. What if you outlive your money? So most calculators will ask you to estimate when you're going to die. I mean, at the very sort of optimistic outcome, maybe you will put in a number of 100, 110, perhaps, if you are very optimistic about your current habits. But what if, in the next 10 years, there is a AI revolution in medical research, and they figure out ways to, make you live 20, 30, 40 years longer, or maybe put you in some kind of freezer and you can live 200 years. Who knows what's going to happen? So retirement could last 40, 50 years perhaps by your calculator. But for what if you outlive it like crazy? And right now, when you're doing the Excel work and you say, okay, my money will last till 100, when you will be 85, you will be miserable knowing that I have only so much money left. So these calculators are as good as to getting satisfied today about it. But when you will actually go and live through that, it is going to be a very different experience. Just a miscalculation of 10-15 years will put you on the road. uh, and you know the risk of dying is not as much as the risk of living too long if you are on the fire mode. Of course, when you will not work, or even if you will be independent and not working as hard, not working for generating growth and maybe just maintenance mode, you may fall into the lifestyle creep. You may want a next level of lifestyle every few years because the money is right there to spend, and that may create a lot of issues. So many calculators or calculations assume that you can predict how you will feel and work around your lifestyle. So new technologies will come through. Global travel is expanding. Children's education, lifestyle upgrades, all can dramatically change those numbers. And fire cannot estimate human ambition, and of course, rising tastes on how you're going to look at life 10 years from now or 20 years from now. The tax is a very big black hole that is usually avoided in such calculators. Taxman will always take a cut. So what we assume that 12% XRR on a pre-tax basis, post-tax basis, it may shrink to 9%. LTCG, STCG, dividend taxes, surcharges that lead into your corpus, and fire calculators always ignore this real drag. So when you will adjust for taxes, and who knows where taxes are going to be in 10 years or 20 years. So if this whole global theme of government spending getting bigger and bigger, and doles being given out, and all kinds of surplus distribution happening, who is going to pay for it? There is no free lunch in this world. The taxpayer ultimately has to pay for it. So if the politicians are going to distribute money, you are going to pay for it some way or the other. If today the government has reduced GST on something, they are going to charge you somewhere else. Money is not going to get created from thin air, and if it does get created from thin air, then your own assets are depleting in value as the base goes up. So post-tax returns are what will count and not paper projections. We are all seeing the major geopolitical changes that are happening in the world. Currencies and geo risks are really big, and that cannot be underestimated. And who knows in the next 40 years whether what kind of a geopolitics will we go through. We've already seen 60% depreciation against the USD since 1995. We hope to be more stable and grow against the US, but we really can't say. In the last 40 years, when we look at our market chart, this is the Sensex, we feel very, very happy. But when we compare it in dollar terms, we are very close to where the US market is. So the red line is Sensex in US dollars, and the blue line is the S&P 500. And we've actually not done better than S&P 500 in dollar terms, even though we have been a faster growing economy, so as to say. So global purchasing power will make a difference, especially for travel, technology, overseas education. So if our currency takes a toss, a lot of these things will become very, very expensive for you. Political, demographic, or regulatory shocks also can alter domestic returns. And a local only fire plan, I am investing only in India and I don't care about the rest of the world, is very, very fragile, because you are a global citizen. You will buy, consume things that are not produced locally. You will travel, you will send your kids abroad. So you will need to have in an eye on how your currency is doing versus the rest of the world. So hence global diversification. Now there is a very nice concept that you draw 4% every year, and for your life your capital will be sufficient. That is the usual thumb rule people go with. This primarily originated in the US markets because they were low inflation and they were deep markets, and growing for the last 30-40 years. India is not the same animal. India is high inflation, high volatility. It can make these calculations very, very unreliable. So a rigid withdrawal rate can either drain your corpus too fast or leave too much idling there. So flexibility in withdrawals is critical. And I mean, you'll need to see the standard multiples that are seen as safe. I think multiple times of that is perhaps where you will need to plan for. So while having a plan for financial independence is very good, I'm all for financial independence, but retiring early without purpose that to for that is or can be a big trap, because when you keep your mind active and ambitious and chasing a plan or a goal, you stay healthy as well. So if you don't have mental stimulation, boredom or frustration will kick in. So just to conclude, I mean, all this is already known to you, but always rethink, because after every bull rally, a certain segment of people want to retire. They feel that the markets can just keep doing this every 3 4 years, and hence they don't need to work. So working towards financial independence is awesome. There is nothing against that. It gives you security and options, but don't get carried away by the projections. Reality is much much messier than what good things you may have seen in the previous recent past. So diversify across equities, domestic as well as global. Diversify across asset classes, gold, real estate, and debt, and build a good safety net, and continue to work hard. What stops you to work hard and enjoy your life? So financial independence should mean choices and not compulsion. Freedom to work, not the fear of running out of money. And true fire is also not about escaping work. A lot of folks are looking at fire because they don't like their boss, because they don't like their job, because they don't like their industry. That should not be the reason to look for fire. It's all about creating a life of freedom and having a purpose in your life. So, at the end of it, have you set up any fire calculations? Do let us know in the comments. Have you accounted for all these factors? And how do you see yourself going towards that? If you like this video, you may like this other video that I've just posted on this page. And of course, do like and share these videos if you like the content, and do subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye bye.